Hi, we're acquainted curious volumes. My name is James. Today's Friday, so I'm going to do a Friday Reads. I think I missed it last week. I don't know. Who's keeping track, really? I'm going to tell you what I read this week, what I'm going to read next week, and give you a few bookish thoughts just for good measure. First, though, I want to send a message to my friend and yours, Randy Ray, the literate Texan. He's long been one of my favorite booktubers. You probably like him too. And he was away for a while. He was back for a while. He's been missing for a while. Not literally missing, but he's been having some more health issues. So if you were signed up for his GoFundMe, you probably got a message saying he's needing some more treatment, and they haven't met their funding goal, so maybe kicking a little bit more if you can spare it to help out Randy Ray. I'll put a link in my description, as they say. And Randy, I hope you're feeling better soon. So this week, the only book that I completely read was James by Percival Everett. A lot of people have been talking about this book on BookTube and elsewhere, saying it's one of the greatest books, one of the best books of the year. I don't know about that because I don't read a lot of new releases, but it certainly is fantastic. It's the best book or the best new release I've read this year, among the few. But it's, as everyone has probably told you by now, it's a retelling of Huckleberry Finn from the point of view of the character of Jim, who in his own mind is James, and by the end of the book is calling himself James. It takes some very different turns from Huckleberry Finn, so to say it's a retelling, it starts out like that, and it ends up very different. It's not nearly as humorous as you may have been led to believe. There's a lot of violence and cruelty in this book. Also, there is some humor. And if you are a fan of, or someone with an interest in 19th century American music, there is a bit of a surprise about halfway through when the character of James encounters the Dan Emmett and the Virginia Minstrels, who are on tour. I won't say too much more than that because I don't want to spoil some plot points. But Dan Emmett and the Virginia Minstrels, if you're not familiar, were an actual historical group who were very popular in, or very important in popularizing blackface minstrelsy, which was white performers putting on makeup to appear like a caricature of African Americans and performing what they purported to be authentic African American plantation style music, and also humor and skits and songs and things like that, and dances. So things like the character of Jim Crow or the old Zip Coon, these come from that performance tradition. And a lot of old songs that you may know as old folk songs were either created for blackface minstrel performance, or were popularized in the 19th century by these performers. And this was, one of the most popular forms of entertainment in America for decades. And Dan Emmett is one of the guys who kind of got it started. In fact, he is often credited as having written the tune Dixie, and that does come up in this book. But there's another semi-scholarly book that makes the case that Dixie may have been written by some a family of African-American musicians who lived near Dan Emmett in Ohio when he was growing up, and that he just kind of took the song from them and spread it around and put his name on it so he could get money. But anyway, that's a whole other story. I don't know enough of the latest ins and outs of that debate to knowledgeably weigh in on the validity of that claim. It is interesting, though. Interesting to think about. So, what else did I read? Well, I listened to on audiobook Daniel. Is it Daniel? William Deresiewicz's The Death of the Artist, which is a nonfiction book from a couple of years ago. Deresiewicz, who's the author probably most famously of Excellent Sheep. This is his book about the condition of creativity in the present day, and how it's become harder and harder to make a career or sustain a career as a professional musician, visual artist, writer, or even filmmaker these days. All the things that kind of militate against someone succeeding in that. Old ways of piecing together a living doing it are no longer available. You've seen the sudden explosion of AI imagery, no doubt. That can't be good for working graphic artists. You've probably heard some AI generated music, and it's usually not anything I want to listen to. But these kind of more ephemeral works of art or music, the kind of thing that would be a jingle or just a design or a thumbnail, would maybe at one time have been made by a professional artist or musician and are now just going to be made by AI. So that's a whole kind of class of what was once high-paid work and then became low-paid work, and now is just going to be farmed out. The money will go to your Mid-Journey subscription instead of to what used to be a working artist, and then might have been a kid with a computer in India, maybe on Fiverr or one of these freelance sites. Anyway, so not so cheerful. He's got suggestions at the end, but I think if you've been following this stuff, there's not going to be a lot that is surprising in the book. He talks to and interviews a whole bunch of people who've made their living or failed to make a living in the arts in it, and that's kind of the heart of this book. It makes 2 books in a month that I've experienced that have what's his name, Ian McKay, formerly of Fugazi, in them. He was also quite prominent in Kathleen Hanna's memoir. But let's see. So that was okay. What I'm currently reading, I started talking about this last week. Well, my plans to read it, which is Guermantes Way, or Guermantes Way, or I'm not sure how you say it. I didn't study French, but the 3rd volume of In Search of Lost Time. This is, I think, the longest of the books of In Search of Lost Time. It's, if you've read the first 2, you kind of know what the deal is. He has the unnamed narrator has they have left the hotel, and they're no longer living out in the country in Cambrai. They are now living in the Hotel Guermantes, and Francoise, the housekeeper / cook, is still here. At the point I'm at, our narrator has spent a lot of time just going out onto the street and hoping that the Duchesse de Guermantes will notice him. So, and that, takes up if you've read a little bit of Proust, you kind of know how it goes. He'll spend just vast sums of pages writing about how he plans to go out and stand on a corner and hope that a rich old lady will walk by and notice him. And he goes out to visit Robert Saint-Loup, who he met on his beach holiday in the previous volume. And Saint-Loup is also a noble. He's a marquis, I think, or a marquis, and he's also in the army. He's a cavalry officer. So he goes out to, I don't know, be like a cavalry fan, a cavalry groupie. He moves into a hotel in the town where Saint-Loup is garrisoned, and he goes out and watches them do maneuvers during the day, and then he hangs out with them over dinner at night and tries to get them to say interesting things about strategy and tactics, and it's all right. There's actually some actual dialogue in here. They're also starting to talk about the Dreyfus affair. I think that that becomes a major kind of theme of a lot of this series as time goes on. So we shall see. But I'm kind of enjoying it. It's one of these things where I probably said it before. I kind of have to be in the right frame of mind and for the cogs to mesh for me to actually get something out of here. Because otherwise my eyes are just seeing the words and skating over it, and turn 10 pages and have no idea what I just read. So this is more like my morning reading when I'm quite sharp. The other day, I was sitting here in the evening. I was about to pick up Guermantes and start reading it, and I was also spending a lot of time looking at the news and viewing all kinds of videos about, just reminding me of how enraging it is that the Supreme Court has invented presidential immunity out of nothing. And, at a certain point, I get it, and I don't really need. I said, you don't need to keep reminding yourself of this. What else? What can we do? And I had just gotten in the mail that day this used copy from thriftbooks.com. Sometimes they deliver of Arthur Ashe, A Life, a full length biography by Raymond Arsenault, and read a couple of chapters of this, and quite enjoying it. It's really well-written biography of a fascinating life. So far young Arthur is still a little boy in Richmond, Virginia, in the 50s. His mother died when he was very young. His father was kind of the caretaker slash official police officer of a park in the black neighborhood of Richmond, and so they had a house actually on the grounds of the park. So Arthur Ashe, didn't grow up the child of tennis players, but he grew up right next to a tennis court. So that kind of helped him, and he met a fellow named Charity, who was another African-American tennis player, kind of an amateur, who encouraged him and saw that he had talent and got him, kind of got him started. It was interesting in the book I showed you last week, The Levels of the Game, is they mentioned Mr. Charity in that book as well, and he says in that book he told John McPhee that he had learned to play tennis by watching people and reading books about how to play tennis. So that's something interesting as well. But I'm not very far into this, but I am quite enjoying it. So that's more like evening reading, if that makes sense. Why am I blocking Louise? How are you doing, Louise? She's doing pretty good. Some of your dogs are, I hear, anxious when they hear fireworks. Louise has never really been troubled by fireworks. When she was very young, she would kind of get mad at them, she would sort of bark, but she's never been really troubled by them. Also now she's 12 years old, so she doesn't hear quite as well as she used to, so it takes more to get her roused. Let's see. So those are the things I'm reading. I wanted to talk a little bit about another video that I saw recently. It was one of these unpopular opinion videos, and it was by a creator named Fiction-esque, who is pretty small, roughly the same number of subscribers as I have. She's been around for quite a while. I don't know why I never heard of her before, because she's great. She's got some really nice videos, a distinctive point of view, and genuine opinions, well expressed. Nothing like so I kind of the sort of thing you probably want out of BookTube. So if you like that kind of thing, and why wouldn't you? I'll put a link to her channel below, and you should go check it out. Fiction-esque. She reads classics. She's a graduate student in literature, which I don't recommend, but she's probably good at it. But that means she reads a lot of classics, probably for comprehensive exams and things like that. She seems to be particularly into sensation fiction, which is a Victorian genre, and new women writers like Elizabeth Gaskell and things like that. So she talks quite a bit about that, and she says her favorite writer is Donna Tartt. I've only read Secret History, certainly enjoyed it. So, but you don't have to have the same taste as a booktuber to enjoy their videos, get something from them. Anyway, she has like an hour-and-a-half video on Coleridge, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So she was doing an unpopular opinions video and talking about how she hated looking at the books in a Barnes & Noble. And I was like, yeah, I've had that experience too. Well, not necessarily at a Barnes & Noble. Well, yes, at a Barnes & Noble. Something about going to a new retail bookstore makes it, I almost never want to buy anything that I see. And if I start reading any of the things I see, I want to buy them less. And I mean, I guess they're not marketed to me really, but even the things that you think were, it's something about the settings of these new retail bookstores. And I go to them and I'm like, I have a job, I have disposable income, but I mean, of course, they also do charge an arm and a leg for new books these days. But it just doesn't excite me in the way that going to a good used bookstore does. I think she uses a phrase like, I go to a used bookstore and I have that bookstore feeling, or something like that. But yeah, I could definitely relate to that. Going into a new bookstore and seeing all the things arrayed to be as enticing as possible, and finding them completely unenticing. It's strange, I guess. Or maybe I've just aged out of being the kind of person that they're trying to appeal to. I don't know. But one more thing that I wanted to mention today is Steve Donahue, great booktuber, who you probably know, has a Substack where he writes, medium length, or actually they're kind of short essays about bookish topics, or just short little reviews of things that are not new releases. Like an old favorite that he's reread, he'll throw up a quick review. And it's on Substack. I think it's like $5 a month. And if you are curious about it and you want to give it a try, I have a subscription, and I have a couple of 1-month trial subscriptions that I can give out. So if you are interested in that, I'll put my my email in the description. You can send me your email address, and I will sign you up for that. So that's how Substack works. You need an email address. I'm not going to spam you. Just send me your email address and say you're interested in the Steve Reed's trial subscription. Once I've given away the subscriptions I have, I'll amend my description to indicate that the giveaway is over. So what else is there? That is what I have today. Thanks for watching. I hope you are having a good week. What are you going to be reading this weekend? The Constitution, maybe? You know, I didn't go to Harvard or Yale Law School, like some people I could name, but I know that it doesn't say anything about the president being immune in the Constitution. Maybe they're paying too much for their tuition up there. I don't get it. These people have been thinking about this for decades, and they just invent this out of plain air. And I get my weekly email from my representative to Congress, and she doesn't mention it. The first thing she says in the email is there should be celebrating throughout the land because of the Supreme Court. I'm like, she's not going to say we need to be celebrating because of this immunity nonsense. It doesn't even mention the immunity nonsense. She's talking about Chevron deference being overturned. Yeah, everyone's just elated because Chevron's overturned. Give me a break. Virginia, that's her name. Anyway, if you follow American politics, you may remember my representative, the Honorable Virginia Fox, for standing next to Mike Johnson and telling a reporter to shut up. Yeah, that's yeah. Anyway, you don't come here for politics, but thanks for watching. I hope you have a good weekend. Bye.